Good afternoon. It is Sunday afternoon, January 13th, 2013 at 13:10 p.m. And welcome to another edition of Mac's Motivational Message. Today's message I'd like to entitle Priceless. But before I give the message today, I wanted to get in the habit of quoting a passage I came across, actually first heard in a movie. It was in the movie Coach Carter. And there was one part of the movie that really spoke volumes to me. And I looked up the verse, and it was written by a Marianne Williamson, and it's called Our Deepest Fear. I hope after I read this that it'll grab onto you like it's grabbed onto me and really help you understand that life is bountiful of amazing miracles and blessings, and with that you can achieve anything in life, and you can learn to believe more in yourself, as I have through my ups and downs and bad times and good times, and even those that knocked me on my face. And that's what the whole meaning or the whole purpose of all these videos are. It's just me sharing my life experiences with you and how I overcame the bad ones and even the worst ones and landed back on my feet. I hope my experiences will help you. So let me read that passage again. It's called Our Deepest Fear. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. You playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that people won't feel insecure around you. We were all meant to shine like children do. It's just not in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And what I get from that is, you not going for your full potential, it doesn't serve anybody. It doesn't serve yourself, and certainly doesn't serve others around you. I really believe that everybody on this planet, regardless of language, sex, skin color, income, economic level, where you were born, where you went to school, regardless of what your background is or why you were put on this planet, all of us have something to give back to others. And it can be as small as maybe you rake your neighbor's yard once a month because maybe they're too elderly to do that. Maybe it's a small thing like that. Maybe it's because you help your mother out because she works 2 full-time jobs, or you help your father out because he works unbelievably long hours. Or maybe it's on a mass level, like, the Goodwill Foundation, United Ways, the Children's Christian Network, UNICEF. Maybe it's a global level. But I really believe that we're put on this planet not only to believe in ourselves and achieve our highest potential, and when we do that, we can help others. I believe if you don't really strive to what you have the potential of being or becoming, you're really cheating yourself. I know that life can be hard on a lot of people. And the reason I call today's message Priceless is because I believe each of us are priceless. We have a gift to give back. One of the lessons that I quickly learned on this walk is that you truly don't live until you do something bigger than yourself. And I'm not saying everybody has to go out and walk 15,000 miles. Again, you might just rake up your yard of your neighbor, and that's something bigger than yourself. That's taken away from your personal time or your personal journey, and you're giving back to somebody. Let me kind of give you an analogy of how I see this. Let's say that I just won the $10 million lottery here in Florida. And for those of you who are watching this video, let's say that I'm either related to you or I'm your best friend. And we've always agreed that whomever wins the lottery will split half of that with the other person. So let's imagine for a moment that I just won $10 million, and I'm going to split half of that with you. So I'm going to give you a check, and this is a forgive me, I'm not a very good artist, but this is a kind of a rendition of a check. And I'm going to give you $5 million right now. So I'm walking up to you and I'm handing you $5 million. Before I do that, and by the way, it's a certified personal check written only to you, because we've gone to the bank and I've deposited my $10 million, and I'm going to write you a personalized certified check to you. So here I'm going to hand it to you. But before I do, I take it and I crumble it up like this, and I throw it on the floor. Now, is this check still worth $5 million? Sure it is, because it's still here. It's still written out to you, got your name on it, hasn't changed the value of the check. What if I also do this? Crumble it up, throw it on the floor, and I stomp on it. And I just dig my heel into that check and make it dirty, and there's a few tears in it, like this, maybe here and here and maybe even here. And now it's still worth $5 million. Not very pretty. I mean, it's not the most professional looking certified check on the planet, but it's still worth $5 million. It being a check, I mean, we're doing all this in the bank, so they're watching this nut guy step on a check, but I can tape it back together, and because we're in the bank, it's still worth $5 million. No matter what I do with this check, to a point, pretty much anything, I can tear it in half and just put it back together, and it's still worth. It's not U.S. currency. It's not a dollar, which is against the law to tear in half, but I can still tape it back together and it's still worth $5 million. And here's my point, my analogy. Your life, you're this check. You're this check. But you're priceless. And there's going to be times in your life that you feel like this. And there's going to be times in your life you're going to feel like someone stepped all over you. And you got their boot print on the back of your head. There's going to be times where you're going to feel weathered and exhausted. And you're going to feel like everybody in the world's against you. Your days are going to seem so dark, they're going to feel like 1,000 midnights. And no matter where you go, what you do, what you try to do, you still feel like this. Well, I'm here to tell you that regardless of what you go through, regardless how hard it is, regardless of the chaos in your life, regardless of if everybody is against you and they don't believe in what you want to do, you're still priceless. If you have a dream in life, I don't care what age you are, I don't care what background you come from, whether your household income is $10 million or $10 a year, and you're homeless and you've lost it all. It doesn't matter. You set the value of your life. Someone's opinion of you does not dictate your value. Speaking about my experiences again and how this applies to today's message. I first got this crazy idea about walking across America on the 4th of July, 2010. I remember the day very vividly. I was with my niece and her family and friends, and we had set up a couple of tents, or the people next to us did, but I saw some tents. And I remember speaking to Johnny. Was a good friend of mine who's also related to Rosa, my niece, by marriage. And I had asked him about tents, and he told me that Johnny's in the Air Force, by the way, and he had talked about there was a single tent that you could actually just throw out, and it pops up automatically for a single man tent. And I got the idea about camping equipment to make this walk. Well, from July 4th until from July 4th, 2010 until September 11th, 2011 was the time it took me to plan for this. My family was behind me the entire way, and they still are. They believe in my walk 100%, and I could not ask for a better support system. But many people were against me. I called news agencies, I called newspapers, I called magazines, I called sponsors, I called everybody I could think of to bring attention to what I was doing. And most of them said, great idea, but we need to see it in action first. No one believed what I was going to do. And there are those to this day who still disbelieve in what I'm doing. I still get naysayers, and there's a few people who will remain nameless that attack me every week, whether it be through Facebook or emails or phone calls or text messages. They'll call ahead to where I'm going, and they'll berate me, and I'm fine with that. I've got a thick skin. There's nothing they can say to me to make me stop. And I've said before in my videos, short of cutting my legs off, I'm not going to stop, even if everybody walked away. But my point is, if you're at a place in your life and you have what some may consider an impossible dream, never allow someone to steal your dream. You protect that dream. And you find a way to achieve it. Now, you may not achieve it as fast as the norm. About my walk, there was a gentleman, I just can't recall his name. You may have seen people like this. They walk down the street and they've got a big cross over their shoulder. Well, this gentleman, it was about a 10 to 14 foot long cross. It laid across his shoulder, and it was a small wheel at the other end so he could pull down the road. And if the numbers are correct, if I remember them, he walked to all 7 continents. He walked for like 40 years, an ungodly number of miles, like 50,000 miles, I think it was, for 20 or 30 or 40 years. Did it on the faith of God. And I'm only walking 15,000. Now, I'm not judging my walk against his or his against mine. My point I'm trying to make is, you may have a dream that you want to accomplish, and most people may do it in this time period, and it may take you this time period to do it. That's fine, because you know what? You're not running their race. You're running your race. And sometimes, and they may have had better resources, or they may have planned it better than you did, or they might be in better shape than you are, or they may have, you can never compare your dream to somebody else's, even if it's exactly the same, because that's apples and oranges. You're two different people. So when you plan a dream, and with a brand new year, it's only mid-January. This is the time in most people's lives where they have that New Year's resolution. Regardless of what your dream is, small or large, never let someone steal it from you. Even if everybody, your spouse, your children, your friends, your family, tell you, that's a great idea, but you don't have the money for it, you don't have the time for it, you don't have the resources for it. I applaud what you want to do, but it's just not possible. Don't fall for that. It's your dream. Don't be later in life when you're 70, 80, 90, even over 100 years old, and you're laying in your bed, maybe in a nursing home, and you say to yourself, I wish I would have just done that. That's That's part of my attitude that drives me to do this. And my sister defines it best. She defines me as the adventurous one in the family. My sister and my brother sort of went the traditional route and had children and kind of settled down, and I was the one that kind of just bounced everywhere because I had this thing in the back of my mind. I never wanted to get so old in life where I couldn't do anything else, and I would look back and say, I wish I did that. Now, a lot of my adventures, even though I did them, they weren't done the traditional way. So sometimes, well, often, probably half the time, I landed smack on my face. And sometimes I ended up homeless. Sometimes I had to wait in soup lines to eat. But I never, ever, ever let anyone tell me it can't be done. I just did it. Sometimes it was well planned out. Sometimes it was throwing caution to the wind. Sometimes it ended in tragedy. Sometimes it ended in success. But I never let anyone tell me I can't do it. Because life is too short. I mean, every day we hear about school shootings, mall shootings, DUI deaths, people who get killed in combat, people who walk outside their front door and fall over and die, or get hit by a car, or they fall off, it's just, life is so short. I'm 51 years old, and I got to tell you, when I was 25, 30 years old, I could not fathom being 51. That's old. 51 is old. Well, now that I'm 51, I don't feel 51. I don't have the mentality, and I don't want to come across, I don't have the old person mentality. Life is too short, and as long as I've got breath in my lungs and I can support myself on my legs and I'm independent, I'm going to live. And that's my message to everyone. Just grab life by the horns and live. If you ever see somebody, for instance, these folks that climb mountains. Now that's not my forte. I can't imagine myself hanging off a 500-pound cliff by my fingertips on a mountain. That's something I choose not to do. I give all the credit to those who do it. But for those who make it to that mountaintop, literally, they didn't fall there. They climbed there. So maybe another good analogy would be, what's your mountaintop? Is it to be the best in your company? Is it to own your own business? Is it to find your ideal soulmate? Is it to make X amount per year income? Is it to build a car? Is it to build a house? Is it to save a family? Is it to go overseas and work for a nonprofit and take care of children? If that's your mountaintop, go for it. And it's not always a destination that's awesome. I mean, granted, when you get to that mountaintop, there's no greater feeling in the world that you made it, that you did it. But also enjoy the path along the way. Another great lesson that I've learned on this walk, I get to see this country at 3 miles an hour. I've come through towns where I've seen breathtaking scenes around me. They could be ponds with Canadian geese in them. It could be a certain way the sun sets over a hillside. It could be some woods to one side, and I get to spot some deer or whatever. And I'll share that moment with that person, with somebody in that town that I come across. And often they'll tell me, I never knew that was there. I've been here all my life. I never knew it was there. So when you create a dream and you have your finish line or your mountaintop, enjoy the journey there. Another good point I want to make, and pardon me, I made so many notes here. Are you going to stumble along the way? Absolutely. Even the greatest people in the world, the greatest minds in the world, the richest people in the world, the most wealthiest, the most well-off, they didn't get there in one shot. Look at Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, he didn't get there overnight. He didn't get there in 15 minutes. He got there by stumbling and falling and making mistakes and learning from them. Falling down is how we grow. Staying down is how you die. One of my mottos I live by every day, which is pretty significant to what I'm doing, is falling down doesn't make you a failure, but staying down does. If you stay down, then you might as well give up. Even if you're down for months. I often use Hurricane Katrina as a good example. It happened a few years ago. Of course, everyone is aware of that. But when it came through, it wiped out generations of people. It wiped out businesses. People lost their homes, their livelihood, their family, their loved ones, their friends. Some of them have since then been successful. And they're back to making 6 figures a year. Or they're back to a brand new home and a brand new car, and they're living life again. Some of them are still down. I really believe it's a choice. Is it an easy choice sometimes? No, of course not. Life isn't made to be easy. If you know what you're worth in life, once you set that standard of what you're worth, then go out and get what you're worth. You can't blame anyone else, whether it be your age or your physical fitness level or your income or where you live or where you came from. There are examples time and time and time again of people that came from nothing, that came from poverty, where they had or a violent place where they lived. There are stories of people that they live in a town so violent that as children they had to crawl on their hands and knees across the living room floor to go to bed because of drive-by shootings and afraid of getting hit. And they were successful because they believed in themselves. You're priceless, but you define how many zeros are in your name. Mine, infinity, infinite. I have a 1 and quadruple times trillion times zillion squared gazillion, whatever words I'm making up as I go, but that's my life worth. I'm priceless. It doesn't make me arrogant. It doesn't make me I'm better than anybody else. But I'm being the best me that I can be. I'm not trying to outwalk anyone. There are people that have walked before I started this, that have walked coast to coast and back, that have walked. There was a guy named Ron Zalesky. He walked from the East Coast to the West Coast barefooted. Wow. There was a gentleman with the cross that walked for 40 years. There was people who ran from coast to coast. There were people that walked for cancer, veterans, homelessness. Ron Zalesky walked for veterans. The average number of veterans who commit suicide every day is 18, and he walked to bring attention to that. So whatever your dream is, maybe it's not walking, maybe it's running or riding or painting someone's house for them or whatever it is, go for it. Go for that mountaintop and make yourself priceless. Now, when you get on your way there, people will talk about you. I mean, I don't have to tell you, if you're at any certain age, you know that regardless of what you do, how good you are, that you go to church every Sunday, that you're part of a prayer group, that you have 3 perfect children with 4.0 in high school and school, that you don't steal, you don't lie, you tithe. You could have a long list of good things about you, and people are still going to talk about you. That's happened to me on this walk. I'm sure it's happened to most of you out there. Don't let them anger you. They're only words. Because the one that angers you controls you. And don't give anyone that power, especially the one who does it intentionally. The group of people that keep attacking me, I always reply back with kindness and humor. I think that the best revenge, and I only use revenge because I'm lack of a better word, if someone comes at me with a bunch of negative energy, whether it be talking about me, whether it be making up rumors, making up lies, whether it be talking about my daughter, talking about my family, whatever they do negative against me, if I retaliate in a negative way, I've given them that power that they're so hungry to get. I'm playing on their field or their level, and they're just laughing back, even subconsciously. I've got this guy by the ear and I can control him, and I got big ears, so that would be very hard to do. But you know what? I don't do that. One of the things they said to me when I first started this walk, Mac, you're too fat, you're not going to make it. I just quickly replied back, yep, I'm so fat, I haven't seen my feet in 6 months. What else you got? I mean, there's someone said to me, you're too old to do this. I said back to them, yes, I'm old, 50 years old. But Moses, who was much older than I am, walked for 40 years in the wilderness? And he didn't have text messaging, GPS, he didn't have Google Maps, he didn't have email. So if he can do it, I can certainly do this. And if my attitude is, there's nothing you can say to me to make me stop. There's no rumor you can start. There's no facts that you think you can put out there, because your attitude about me does not dictate where I go in life. I'm in control of it. Now, for me, it's also the good Lord. I give my life to Him. But maybe you believe in a different higher power. Maybe it's Buddha. Maybe you're Wiccan. Maybe you don't believe in anything at all, and you believe you're your own higher power. Then that's fine. That you have that freedom to do that. And as a veteran, I have served this nation, so you have the right to do that. So my point, again, is never give anybody control of your priceless life. You keep control. If you let people talk you down to what you can't do, you're just giving them control. And you're better than that. That's what quitters do, and you're not a quitter. Even if it takes you longer than the norm, or takes you all your life to get to that mountaintop that you so badly want to be at, never quit. If you got to step away from it for a while, that's fine. Just never lose focus. Well, I think I've pretty much have talked your ear off again. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. And as long as I have the way of doing this, my camera keeps working, I have internet access every Sunday, I'll post motivational messages every Sunday at about noon. I apologize that I couldn't do it noon this Sunday. Some things came up unexpectedly, and I had to postpone this for about an hour and a half. So thank you again for your time. Thank you for your support. Even though I'm making the steps on this walk, I'm doing the ground pounding, it's all of you that make this the success and the make this where it has become. We still have a long way to go, and I know in my heart that none of it would be possible without all of you. So in that respect, I thank you very much. Keep the prayers coming, keep the motivational and supportive and inspiring words coming. Keep me in your prayers. I thank you all for your continued support. I really huge thank you for the Silver Star Families of America for allowing me to work with them, to come on board with them. They're a nonprofit organization that work with me to help us raise money for homeless and wounded veterans on top of my walk. So big thanks to you guys, Steve Newton and Kathy and the others. And last but not least, my biggest thank you, my biggest shout out, my biggest appreciation goes to my daughter Katie. She is my inspiration out here. She's my world. She's my energy. She's everything I need to succeed, and I love her very much. Mwah, and this is for you. She knows what that's for. That's our little signal. So thank you all again. Tomorrow morning I'll kick off my walk again from here in Gainesville and make my way north to Atlanta. Please feel free to leave comments on this video. I appreciate your time, your positive energy, and until next Sunday, I wish you all the best. May God bless you in everything you do, your endeavors. May He protect you and your family and loved ones. Until next time, Semper Fi.